Intro. Deception, an age-old art, honed by unseen masters, hidden in the whispers of half-truths and the shadows of manipulation. It is a craft as ancient as storytelling itself, where words become weapons and trust, a fragile illusion. We live among those who weave falsehoods effortlessly, turning their deception into second nature, so seamless that even they start to believe the lies they tell. Welcome to OceanHeap, where knowledge and fun converge. Today, we step into the intricate labyrinth of habitual lying, exploring the traits that define chronic deception and the ways to recognize it before it consumes the bonds we hold dear. Let's unravel the layers of deceit, not to judge, but to understand. Chapter 11, the Pseudologia Fantastica Phenomenon. When lying becomes a compulsion, not a choice. Most people lie occasionally, whether to avoid conflict, protect themselves, or gain an advantage. But pathological liars lie for a different reason: they cannot stop. Their fabrications become compulsive, woven into their identity, even when deception serves no clear purpose. This psychological phenomenon, known as pseudologia fantastica, is a recognized disorder in which individuals create grandiose, elaborate lies that blur the line between reality and fiction. Unlike typical dishonesty, pathological lies are often unnecessarily elaborate. They extend beyond simple falsehoods, evolving into detailed narratives. Persistent, even when exposed, pathological liars continue fabricating stories even after being caught. Interwoven with truth, their deception incorporates real elements, making detection difficult. A case study: the fabricated life. Consider Elliot, a patient studied in a Psychological Review, Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, 2020. Elliot had spent years constructing an entirely fictional life, claiming he had served in the military, met celebrities, and achieved academic success he had never earned. His lies weren't crafted for immediate gain. He wasn't manipulating anyone for money, power, or sympathy. He simply could not control his fabrications. Over time, he began to believe in them himself, experiencing emotional distress when confronted with reality. Elliot's case reflects the nature of pseudologia fantastica, a self-reinforcing cycle of deception, where lies replace truth in the liar's mind. The neuroscience of pathological lying. A study in Neuropsychology Today, 2018, reveals that habitual pathological liars show distinct brain activity differences, including increased prefrontal cortex activity, linked to impulsivity; reduced emotional processing, resulting in lower guilt responses to deception; altered memory recall, making fabricated stories feel emotionally honest. These findings suggest that pathological lying isn't just a behavior, it's a cognitive dysfunction. The emotional toll on pathological liars and their relationships. Unlike strategic liars, who manipulate deliberately, pathological liars often experience emotional distress due to their deception. They struggle with identity distortion. Their fabricated life overtakes their real one. Social isolation, friends and family lose trust, leading to broken relationships. Mental health deterioration, anxiety, depression, and guilt increase over time. Studies in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, 2019, found that individuals suffering from pseudologia fantastica often report feelings of helplessness, expressing that they wish to stop lying, but cannot. Conclusion: understanding and addressing pathological deception. Pathological liars differ from typical deceivers. They do not always lie for personal gain but instead struggle with compulsive falsehoods. Recognizing the signs can help those affected seek psychological intervention. Chapter 12: Lying for Social Advantage: How Fabrications Create Status. The Power of Illusion in Social Hierarchies. In competitive environments, deception isn't always about escaping consequences, it's often a tool for advancement. Social status, career progression, and public perception can all be shaped by carefully crafted falsehoods. Some habitual liars fabricate success, inflate their achievements, and exaggerate their experiences to solidify their place in high-status circles. Unlike compulsive liars, who lie instinctively, social climbers deceive strategically, using deception to gain influence, respect, and admiration. A case study: the social elite built on lies. Consider Nathan, an entrepreneur who built an empire on fabrications. Journal of Business Psychology, 2021. Early in his career, he falsely claimed investment backing from billionaires, fabricated exclusive deals, and presented forged credentials. His deception wasn't sporadic, it was methodical. He spoke with confidence, ensuring skepticism never lingered. He maintained credibility, surrounding himself with real successes to reinforce his false claims. He controlled narratives, ensuring that anyone who doubted him felt outnumbered by his supporters. Nathan's fabricated status earned him real power, until investigative journalists uncovered the truth. His career collapsed overnight. His case highlights a critical reality: habitual deception in social advancement isn't just about perception, it shapes tangible outcomes. Psychology behind status-based deception. Studies from the Journal of Personality and Social Behavior, 2020, reveal several psychological mechanisms behind social advantage deception. 1. Perceived success bias: people trust confident narratives of achievement. 2. Social reinforcement loops: once a lie is widely accepted, it becomes harder to challenge. 3. Exclusivity manipulation: fabricating elite connections makes deception more believable. A study in Business Ethics Review, 2019, found that individuals who successfully fabricate a false identity often experience a psychological detachment from reality, reinforcing their false identity until they begin to believe their lies. The impact of status-driven deception. While lying for social advantage may provide short-term rewards, its long-term effects are damaging. Reputational collapse: once deception is exposed, credibility is irreversibly lost. Trust erosion: relationships built on false status often fail under scrutiny. Increased risk-taking: habitual deceivers tend to push their lies further, thereby increasing the eventual consequences. Conclusion: the fragile nature of fabricated success. While social deception can create short-term prestige, truth inevitably catches up. Understanding how habitual liars manipulate status helps identify deception before it escalates. Chapter 13: Web of Lies: How Habitual Liars Struggle to Keep Track. The Unraveling of Deception. For habitual liars, each lie serves a purpose: to avoid consequences, gain advantage, or manipulate perception. However, as deception becomes increasingly elaborate, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. False narratives require careful memory management, ensuring that every fabricated detail aligns with previous claims. The problem? Even the most skilled deceivers struggle to maintain absolute consistency. Over time, their web of lies inevitably collapses under scrutiny. A case study: the domino effect of dishonesty. Consider Martin, a financial advisor known for projecting an image of success. Journal of Cognitive Psychology, 2020. For years, Martin inflated his credentials, exaggerating client portfolios and falsifying his past achievements. Initially, his lies were small and manageable. He misstated figures and slightly altered timelines. But as his deception grew, so did the complexity of maintaining it. When a journalist uncovered inconsistencies in Martin's claims, his entire narrative began to crumble. Investors, colleagues, and clients noticed contradictions in his stories, leading to a rapid collapse of trust. His case demonstrates a fundamental truth: the more intricate the deception, the harder it is to sustain. The psychology behind the struggle to maintain lies. According to research in cognitive neuroscience, 2019, habitual liars experience significant mental strain when maintaining their falsehoods. Studies reveal that memory recall becomes distorted, liars struggle to track all fabricated details. Stress increases cognitive load, excessive deception leads to mental exhaustion. Contradictions emerge naturally. Over time, inconsistencies become unavoidable. A study from the Journal of Behavioral Science, 2020, found that chronic deceivers often fail to remember past lies, leading to unintentional exposure of contradictions. The emotional toll of managing lies. Beyond logical inconsistencies, habitual lying takes an emotional toll. Liars frequently experience paranoia about exposure, constant anxiety about being caught, increased stress responses, heightened cortisol levels due to deception-related pressure, social withdrawal, fears of misalignment lead to avoidance behaviors. The breaking point, when lies begin falling apart. Once deception reaches a critical mass, truth inevitably finds its way through the cracks. Whether exposed by evidence, contradictions, or sheer oversight, habitual liars often face their downfall not from a single mistake but from a series of accumulating inconsistencies. Conclusion: the inevitable collapse of deception. No liar can indefinitely maintain a web of dishonesty without eventually slipping up. Understanding how habitual liars struggle to keep track of their falsehoods provides insight into their eventual downfall. Chapter 14: False Credentials and Fake Success, Lies in Professional Life. The Deception of Career Advancement. Professional success is often measured by credentials, achievements, and reputation. But for some, rather than earning accomplishments through hard work, they fabricate them instead. From exaggerated resumes to fraudulent degrees, habitual liars manipulate their professional narrative to secure jobs, promotions, and industry recognition. These individuals don't just lie to colleagues or clients, they lie to entire corporations and institutions, reshaping their careers through deception. A case study: the fake executive. Consider Daniel, a corporate leader who built his career on falsified credentials. Journal of Business Ethics, 2021. Daniel's resume claimed degrees from top universities, leadership roles in prestigious firms, and industry accolades he had never received. His deception wasn't minor, his entire professional identity was fabricated. Because he spoke confidently and produced superficially convincing results, few questioned his legitimacy. He secured high-ranking positions, led major projects, and influenced industry decisions. However, when an investigative report exposed his fraudulent credentials, his entire career collapsed overnight. His case reflects the reality of professional deception. Lies may create success, but truth eventually dismantles it. How deception thrives in professional settings. Research in the Journal of Workplace Psychology, 2019, identifies key patterns in career-related lying. 1. Exaggerated experience, fabricating job roles or inflating responsibilities. 2. Fake educational background, claiming degrees never earned. 3. Misrepresentation of skills, portraying expertise that doesn't exist. 4. False endorsements and recommendations, manipulating references and networking influence. According to a study in Career Advancement Trends, 2020. Habitual professional liars often thrive in high-pressure industries, where exaggerated self-promotion is socially reinforced. The long-term consequences of career lies. While fabricating credentials may provide short-term opportunities, the long-term consequences are severe. Industry-wide blacklisting, once exposed, trust is permanently damaged. Legal repercussions, fraudulent claims can lead to lawsuits or termination. Personal reputation collapse, career deception affects credibility beyond professional settings. A study in Ethical Leadership Review, 2021, found that habitual workplace deceivers experience heightened anxiety, fearing constant exposure and reputational downfall. Conclusion: the fragility of false professional success. Career-based deception may secure short-term opportunities, but truth inevitably dismantles fabricated success. Recognizing professional deception protects institutions, individuals, and ethical industry standards. Chapter 15: Guilt versus Shamelessness, the Emotional Consequences of Chronic Lying. The unspoken weight of deception. Lying isn't just an external act, it leaves internal scars. While some habitual liars experience deep remorse for their deception, others feel nothing at all. The contrast between guilt and shamelessness in chronic liars raises a critical question. Does repeated dishonesty numb emotional responses, or does it cultivate emotional detachment altogether? For some, guilt is overwhelming. For others, it disappears. A case study: the burden of lying. Consider Eric, a habitual liar documented in the Journal of Behavioral Psychology, 2021. Throughout his life, Eric fabricated details in relationships, careers, and friendships. At first, deception felt strategic, a way to shape favorable outcomes. But as lies piled up, guilt consumed him. He struggled with anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion, constantly fearing exposure. When confronted, he didn't just feel regret, he felt trapped. Eric's case highlights the emotional toll deception takes on those who still retain their sense of conscience. The psychology behind guilt in habitual liars. Studies in Neuropsychology Today, 2019, suggest that some habitual liars experience heightened activity in the brain's guilt processing regions, including overactive amygdala responses, causing distress when deception is recognized. Memory recall disturbances, creating a cycle of regret over past falsehoods. Internal conflict, where their moral compass clashes with habitual lying tendencies. These findings suggest that not all deceivers are emotionally detached, some battle intense guilt, leading to emotional breakdowns or attempts at redemption. The shameless liar, when guilt ceases to exist. Not all habitual liars experience regret. A study in the Journal of Social Personality, 2020, found that some deceivers exhibit reduced emotional responses, showing no remorse for their deception. Key traits of shameless liars include 1. Compartmentalization, they separate lies from personal identity. 2. Emotional detachment, deception does not cause distress. 3. Narcissistic reinforcement, they justify lying as a survival mechanism. A study in Psychopathology Review, 2018, found that repeated dishonesty is associated with reduced brain activity in guilt processing regions, leading some individuals to experience less remorse over time. The emotional toll on others. Habitual deception doesn't just affect the liar, it profoundly impacts those caught in their web. Friends, family, and colleagues often experience betrayal trauma, struggling with trust after exposure to chronic lies. Emotional exhaustion, facing mental stress due to repeated manipulation. Self-doubt, questioning their perceptions due to deception. A study in Cognitive Behavioral Research, 2019,
found that individuals affected by habitual deception often develop increased suspicion in future relationships, struggling to trust even those with honest intentions. Conclusion: the emotional divide between guilt and shamelessness. The distinction between remorseful and shameless liars underscores the complex emotional repercussions of deception. While some experience guilt that erodes their sense of self, others detach completely, becoming emotionally immune to dishonesty. Chapter 16: Reverse Manipulation: How to Outwit a Habitual Liar. The challenge of exposing deception. Habitual liars thrive on control. Their deception isn't just about false statements, it's about manipulating conversations, emotions, and perceptions. Outwitting a chronic deceiver isn't just about proving them wrong, it requires a strategic approach, ensuring their lies lose power without escalating conflict. Understanding their tactics helps dismantle their influence. A case study: outsmarting the manipulator. Consider Samantha, a legal expert who faced a deceptive colleague sabotaging projects. Journal of Conflict Resolution, 2021. At first, the liar's tactics were subtle, misrepresenting deadlines, falsely attributing mistakes to others, and twisting small truths. Instead of confronting the deceiver aggressively, Samantha used strategic outmaneuvering. She collected evidence, ensuring each lie had undeniable proof against it. She asked leading questions, forcing contradictions in the deceiver's statements. She remained calm, never reacting emotionally to manipulation attempts. Her approach exposed deception without escalating conflict, ensuring credibility remained in her favor. Psychological Strategies for Handling Habitual Liars. Research in the Journal of Cognitive Manipulation, 2019, outlines practical methods for counteracting deception. 1. Pattern recognition: habitual liars rely on repetition. Identifying common themes in their lies reveals vulnerabilities. 2. Strategic questioning: instead of direct accusations, asking clarifying questions forces liars into contradictions. 3. Emotional neutrality: remaining unemotional weakens their manipulative grip. 4. Preemptive documentation: maintaining accurate records prevents the fabrication of past events. A study from Psychological Warfare Review, 2020, found that habitual liars struggle when forced into unscripted responses, making calculated questioning a powerful strategy. The danger of direct confrontation. Confronting chronic deceivers without preparation can backfire. Studies in Behavioral Conflict Research, 2018, indicate that habitual liars tend to respond defensively, often escalating deception rather than admitting fault. Instead, professionals recommend building credibility before exposing deception, ensuring others trust your narrative. Creating an undeniable reality, using evidence instead of verbal disputes. Avoiding emotional entanglement: deception thrives on reactions. Conclusion: dismantling deception without losing control. Outwitting a habitual liar requires tactical precision, emotional stability, and strategic questioning. Instead of reacting impulsively, forcing contradictions and securing evidence ensures the truth regains control. Chapter 17: The Psychology of Blame Shifting: When Liars Deflect Accountability. The Art of Avoiding Consequences. For habitual liars, deception isn't just about fabricating stories, it's about dodging responsibility. When caught in a lie, many chronic deceivers shift blame onto others, ensuring that accountability never reaches them. Blame shifting follows a predictable psychological pattern. 1. Denial: rejecting accusations outright, even when confronted with evidence. 2. Diversion: changing the subject or shifting focus to another area. 3. Projection: accusing others of dishonesty instead. 4. Justification: reframing deception as a misunderstood necessity. A case study: the master of deflection. Consider Ryan, a habitual deceiver, studied in the Journal of Behavioral Manipulation, 2021. Ryan excelled at blame shifting. He never admitted fault, regardless of the circumstances. When colleagues confronted him about errors in his reports, he redirected the blame onto his assistants. When personal relationships collapsed due to dishonesty, he accused his partners of overreacting. Every mistake, every exposed lie, was someone else's fault. Ryan's deception wasn't just about avoiding guilt, it was about preserving control. The psychology behind deflecting blame. Studies in the Journal of Social Conflict, 2020, reveal that habitual liars who frequently shift blame exhibit high levels of defensive emotional processing, including reduced self-awareness, a refusal to acknowledge personal faults. Heightened fear response, the instinct to escape consequences. Manipulative reasoning, reframing dishonesty in a way that justifies their actions. A study in Cognitive Behavioral Review, 2019, found that chronic blame shifters rarely experience guilt. Instead, they develop reactive deception patterns to counter accusations. The emotional impact on victims. Blame shifting doesn't just protect the deceiver, it damages relationships and erodes trust. Friends, colleagues, and partners caught in a liar's web often experience self-doubt, questioning whether they misinterpreted events. Increased frustration, feeling emotionally manipulated. Mental exhaustion, constantly engaging in conflict without resolution. A study in Interpersonal Psychology Review, 2021, found that individuals exposed to frequent blame shifting develop heightened anxiety, struggling to trust their judgment. Conclusion: recognizing and countering blame shifting. Understanding how habitual liars deflect accountability is crucial for resisting manipulation. Deception thrives in blame-shifting cycles, however, recognizing these patterns allows for greater clarity and control. Outro. The unseen masters of deception walk among us, cloaked in facades so well-crafted that even reality bends around them. But the more we understand their patterns, the less power their illusions hold. Knowledge, after all, is the light that cuts through the fog of manipulation. Here at OceanHeap, we believe in learning, growing, and questioning the world around us. If you found this journey insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation alive, because in a world where deception thrives, truth remains our greatest ally. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant.